Rolling Out AM. How's everybody?
Morning.
What's
All right.
happening?
Good morning.
Cass in the city. What's up?
What's up, everybody? Good morning.
Amir Shah, lifestyle specialist.
What's good? What's up, man? We got some good things happening today. We're gonna get into some good news, some bad news, but we just want to inform the public today.
All right. And wake up, Romeo International.
Wake up in the morning, rolling out, man. Good morning. Glad everybody is here. Hope you had an active weekend.
And last but not least, the bruiser. It is the first King James. What's happening, Terry Shropshire? How are you?
Hey, what's popping? What's popping? I don't know how I got the nickname Bruiser when I'm a shy and withdrawn individual, but you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get it kicking this week.
Ha 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 ha. Well, talk about your weekend, Terry. What'd you get into? Because it sounded like it was a great weekend for everybody. It was Mother's Day. Obviously, people were still mourning.
I mean, it was interesting. It was just different. I mean, it was good to get connected with the family via Zoom and to get connected with friends in another Zoom session. But it's weird because, you know, just the prospect of not being able to see my mother and my father and my family this entire year is really hitting home because they won't be able to come out with a vaccine until the end of the year, according to the medical practitioners and prognosticators. So it looks like they used yesterday as a way to celebrate my grandmother, who's 96 years old. God bless her. But it was also a reality check in terms of, unless they come up with a vaccine early, ain't nobody trying to visit with even family members during the holidays. So it looks like 2020 is canceled.
Yeah, it does look like there's a different energy for sure. So I think that's a significant issue. How about you, Cass? Good morning and a wonderful Mother's Day for you. You and your children.
I had a good Mother's Day. I enjoyed getting to see my family. We did some social distance celebrating, so it was a good day.
Yeah, it's a whole strategy. Car drive-by, invisible hugs. I mean, it's a whole new movement. I don't know. I think that's going to be the new trend. How do
Definitely a big adjustment.
What about you, Amir?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, man. You know, you usually during this time we usually go to my grandmother's house, but this year we decided to skip because like you say, social distancing. You know, the family can't really get together like we used to. But we were able to get on a call and able to speak to everyone and just wish all my aunts and aunties, and grandmother happy Mother's Day. That was the biggest thing, just for us to be able to connect in some kind of way. So this may be the new normal for the time being, but we're still thankful that they're here and we're able to kind of just still connect in some kind of way.
What about you, Romeo? You talking about being active? Georgia is live and lit. Amir, you got those numbers close to you so we can talk about that?
Yeah, sure. As soon as Romeo let us know about his weekend, I got you.
So it was two things, man. This weekend, we actually did a community run where we put people in groups of 2 to 3, and we did a run this weekend for Ahmad. His birthday was Saturday. You can also see that footage on Rolling Out. And then Mom taught me how to cook. So she sat in the living room, I sat in the kitchen, and she basically just taught me, how to put this there and spice this up. Now, I will let y'all know, I'm an expert at rice now. I can do rice.
Oh, rice.
So I'm gonna save some for all of y'all. It's my specialty rice.
You got specialty rice now. Rice. All right, Romeo. Everybody is chef, but I don't know that you can really mess around yet and get any props, because I'm telling you, I was in the kitchen for a whole hour and a half, cutting up bacon salmon, talking to the world about what's going on. But definitely had a wonderful meal prepped. Cassie, you cooking much?
I did cook. I made shrimp and grits yesterday. I made some fried fish. So we had a good little.
Romeo made rice, Cassidy.
So you need rice with that. You need some rice with that, Cassidy.
No, they got the grits. You don't need no rice. You don't need no 2 starches. Trying to be out of the double starch. I didn't hear about it. What'd you have green, Cassidy?
I had some fruit.
Ah, that's cool. All right. You over there cooking, Amir? I don't know.
No, man, I actually went to my man's Sammy's Showcase. Is a black-owned restaurant in East Point. Man, he swings. Man, he gets down on the grill, and we definitely got some takeout.
I can't believe it. Did you take some pictures of Sammy so we could believe you that you went? I mean, we got to be reporting some way. So did you take pictures of Sammy? It seemed like you'd bring him on today so he can motivate you. So let's talk about some motivation. What are you using to stay motivated, team? And we're asking those who are out there, what are you using for Philly, New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, Atlanta? What are you using right now to stay motivated during this time? Any idea, Terry?
I knew you were going to come to me first. Basically, I'm just using this as an opportunity to do some side projects that I always wanted to get off the ground. So basically, I'm looking at this as not as sort of like being in prison, as some people have, believe that they're suffering from, as the doctors have or psychologists have said. So I use this opportunity to get some things that I haven't gotten done the last few years, and I'm getting them done now. So just looking at it in a different perspective instead of looking at it as being cooped up. You know what I'm saying?
No, but give people some motivation. Amir?
No, I think he said it, man. I think for me, it's been all about.
Say it.
I did say it.
You can't say what he said. If he said it, you can. Terry, you gonna let Amir borrow your words?
Oh no, I'm not borrowing his words. I'm not borrowing his words. I'm just telling you what he said.
Give him a quote. Give him a quote. Give them some motivation. Find it in your soul, not to copy off Terry's paper.
But we're not copying it all. We're not copying it all.
You gotta stop hating. You gotta stop hating, Munson.
Yeah, we gotta give each other. See, the thing is this, Munson. We gotta give each other props during this situation. We gotta lift each other up. We gotta pull each other up. We can't push each other down. We gotta pull each other up. That's the whole thing about motivation, brother. If I see my brother doing well, I want to give him a hand clap. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure he's. I want to make sure he's.
Terry is a big boy. He can take that. I asked you to personally give the audience some motivation.
It's called a segue, Munson.
That's what it is. It's a transition.
We're not segueing, Terry.
It's called a metamorphosis or a transition.
Terry.
So what he's doing is that he's taking something that I said that was good, and then he's using it to go on to the next step.
Terry.
All right.
Thank you, Terry. So that's what it is. It's a transition, Munson. So what Terry was saying to what we.
What is exactly the motivation right now? Get with it.
So the thing is this. Well, before you interrupted me, I was going to say study. The thing is, it's about study. How are you studying a new skill? How are you? That's study. So this is what it is. You have to study. You have to really acquire new skills at this point.
Amir, give them.
I'm sorry.
Motivation. Give them some motivation.
That's motivation. If you're not motivated to study and find a new skill at this point, at this time, where you have all this time, I don't know what else can we say. I think this is a good time to educate yourself. You can go on YouTube University, find a new skill. Romeo's finding out how to cook. For me.
We want to be very specific about the motivation.
Well, I think people who are listening will get what I'm saying.
It has 10 billion videos. So
that's right.
Motivation, for people looking for motivation, go on YouTube, listen to James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni's conversation. It'll motivate you to understand that even in the midst of this particular pandemic, African-American, 2 young men have died. The video can be seen. But if you listen to Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin right now on YouTube, you can actually hear why we're not surprised that we're still being attacked and there is a system that has a problem. So for motivation, go and listen to historical video speeches of Malcolm X so that you're prepared and can understand what we're in the midst of, to motivate the identity that we all should put on, the armor that many have seen before and many are sleeping. So I need you to go and give us some recommendation to continue to motivate us, particularly in this time, from YouTube, since you gave that as the motivating location. Because if we're going to study, let's be specific. On Rolling Out AM, we prescribe those things that we want to motivate our community. We prescribe.
Good job, Musson. Good job.
Prescribe.
Yeah, thank you for the circumlocution.
Good job.
Hey, hold on. Be specific on your prescription. Romeo, music motivation for us this morning. Something that we haven't heard.
Music motivation? Here's some music motivation. The industry is in trouble. That's the most motivation that they have right now. But I will say, this is going to sound like I'm piggybacking about my brother who said, study and learn. My motivation, being specific. I think people should start learning how economy works. So I actually started learning how the stock market works. And that's the two things I'm doing right now, learning sign language and learning how the stock market works. Those two are
Three things, rice.
and rice. I'm great at rice. I'm telling y'all, when I make y'all this rice, don't say nothing. But be specific in learning the black dollar, be specific in learning how the black dollar circulates in your community and your surroundings. Specific.
With a P.
Cass?
So for motivation, I'm going to share with y'all an app I use, and it's called Eternal Sunshine. And it has meditation, it has mindfulness practices, inspirational messages, and daily mantras. So you guys should go check it out. And they pop up every day. So they're very insightful. They give you something to think about every day, something to practice and work on. So always seek new ways to self-motivate and motivate yourself to be better. So that's my nuggets on Motivational Monday.
Always Cass.
Oh, Cass, finally specific on this Motivational Mondays. Something that was about the audience that they could actually get in a treat. It's real key in this moment that we all find nuggets to give to the world to stay motivated. I like Insight app, which Insight Timer. I find that to be one that's great for relaxing. We actually have another one of our hosts coming on Tuesday to kind of give us some meditation in the morning. So that's going to be great. I'm sure that we'll find a few to lead us through. But those apps can be great to wake up to actually understand how to get your day started or to make sure that you get a good night's sleep. They actually have classes on Insight Timer. Are there classes on that app, Cassie?
They do meditation, like you can do different meditations with them for different things that you're trying to accomplish in your life.
And we got the Rolling Out app coming, right, Munson?
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, that is a big surprise. I've looked, I've thought about it, I've checked it out. It's supposed to add these last features, and I'm sure in the next 90 days it'll be happening. But I'm really excited about Cass's app, so I see where she gets her sunshine from. But yeah, we have.
I try.
Yeah, she's still.
The sunshine.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Oh man.
So tell me, what are you going to do when this new day comes and everybody can go out? Do you think we'll be released, Mir, on the end of the month? The rest of the country?
I don't think so. I'm looking at the numbers now. Just 1 second, I can pull them up. Right now, as I look at the numbers, coronavirus cases in the U.S. is 1.3 million, up 20,000 from Friday. and 80,000 deaths, and up 1,000 deaths since Friday. So I don't, I think people right now, they don't really understand. I think they're trying to ignore the numbers. They're not really. They want to kind of shift the focus. And I think it's imperative that people really understand that this thing is still out here killing people, still out here affecting people. So it's, my thing is this: we really have to pay attention right now, because I was out for a minute Saturday, and I saw people without face masks on and congregating in groups, and I don't think people really understand that nothing is going away. So how can we drill this message into the community, where the leadership is telling us it's okay not to wear a mask, it's okay to congregate, let's move on to the economy.
I think
so. We have two different messages.
Thing, Amir, where they got their fingers in their ears, they want the sunshine. I mean, it is the epitome is that all of a sudden people in the White House have now got corona. So for me, that was kind of the lasting stock. Now you've got corona in the White House. You've got President Pence's team has coronavirus. So the denial cannot be that, oh, it's not happening near and close to me. So that to me is something that we're waking up to from Friday to now, to the awareness that there's several people in the White House that have the coronavirus and some that have tested positive. So the narrative is no longer can be ignored from even inside the White House. So, but I do think in our community, the narrative is still close. It was a sad weekend for me, Cassie, because Little Richard passed. And at the same time, Andre Harrell had passed. And for me, the sadness of passing and not really being able to celebrate, and then you just having to read the tributes to Little Richard, it just seemed slow. How'd you take that, Amir?
Man, Andre Harrell was definitely hard, and I was actually going to speak about it in my report. I actually got a chance to spend some time with Andre down at the Revolt Music Conference a few years back. As everyone knows, he was a part of the Revolt team. He was one of the people who actually was one of the executives in the conference. So I got a chance to chop it up with him a few years back, and I put up the picture that I took of him and Stephen Hill down at the Revolt Music Conference. And he was always a guy who, if you talk to him just listen to him talk for 10 to 15 seconds, and he was going to give you some type of jewel, some type of gem about life, whether it was business or just in your personal life. And as you say, it's sad that the industry won't be able to celebrate this king, because he's someone who's put in years in the industry, starting in 1980, signing with Def Jam and becoming a Def Jam executive. And after becoming a Def Jam executive, he moves on, starts Uptown Records, which pretty much changed the game when it came to hip hop and soul. So definitely want to big up to Andre Harrell, his team, and just rest in peace.
Yeah, I love that. I think people missed it though. I mean, I think that half the time. Timmy, what's happening, man?
Morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Come on, my man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Time is back here in Canada, so that's why it's not bad.
No, I'll tell you, you gotta change the energy, man. Come on, Tay. I know you. I know the real you. So, ladies and gentlemen, rolling out AM Wake Up all the way from Canada, across the border. My partner, my friend, companion, Tammy is artist, R&B, soul. Tammy is in the building, man.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys for real.
Come on, man. It was he said Canada. Be specific. Let them know what city you represent from. I mean, Canada's huge. You know what I mean?
Side, Toronto, Canada, 6 side, NBA World Championship.
Come on,
don't start that.
What other artists are from Toronto? For those that don't know,
y'all don't know about it. We got Justin Bieber. We got Tory Lanez. I mean, we got this light skinned dude. His name Drake. I think his name. I mean, we all right over here. We doing okay over here.
Come on, man.
Hey, man, you're not gonna be my friend no more, man.
Where's Daniel Caesar from?
He's from Toronto. We
What?
got Jesse Reyes. We got.
No, I'm just saying the brothers are representing up there. You know, I was sitting here doing the morning rolling out AM, and I said, "Come on, Romeo, where's our homeboy, my brother? We got to get him on the show. I miss him. You know, I know you're doing big things. I'm really proud of what you're doing. I'm gonna let y'all rap about this music, man. But stay in touch. We want to make sure that you really the community knows who you are because you're putting in the work and looking forward to hearing and you sharing what you have with our audience at Rolling Out AM. Thank you, brother, so much.
Most definitely.
So kicking in, man, how is the new world, you know what I'm saying? How are you dealing with the new change in music and how you operate during the pandemic? And just to let you know, my team is on here. That's King James, that's Cass in the City, you know. She need Drake number.
Good morning,
Cass,
good morning.
You got Drake number.
Stop it.
How you doing, buddy?
But yeah, how are you dealing with the pandemic? Music.
It's right here. It's right here, right? Like, I mean, ain't nothing changed for me, man. I engineer my own sessions. I do what I got to do. So, I mean, I'm getting requests from people to write records. I performed right here. It ain't changed for me, man. I'm just doing it. It's a different market. It's a different system, and the system will always change. And it's about artists' ability to adapt to that and grow to that. So that's really all it comes down to. So ain't nothing changed.
Why aren't a lot of artists adapting to the new, you know, change? Why aren't a lot of artists prepared for, you know, the social change of music?
Why aren't they prepared? I mean, I don't want to overly assume and say and generalize for every artist, but I would say that maybe the inability to. I think the music industry might have been a little bit tougher coming up from I wouldn't say my generation of when I was actually signed to Disturbing the Peace and I was doing all my things over there at Def Jam. I think the music industry might have been a little bit tougher. So I don't know, man. I want to call maybe some of the new artists might have been like, oh, I you know what? I work with youth, and I think the degree of work that it takes to make it pop, it's a huge misconception. And I don't think they know the work all the time. Some of the artists don't know the work it takes. So I think, yeah, that's really what it is.
King James, anything?
Oh, no, I was going to ask if you was talking about these times and how you use or basically leverage the time that you have to create new music and to create in these times where it's like you can't go out, you can't congregate, you can't do concerts, you can't do clubs. I mean, what are some of the things that you were doing and how is that motivating you to create new music to reflect these times? Because sometimes, as they once said about the great late legendary Tupac Shakur, sometimes the great music, the greatest music, the most compelling music is created during tumult or turbulent times. So I'm looking forward to when this ends, having some great music being created. So how does that basically kick the art, the artistry in you or in artists?
When there's no noise around, right? When there's absolutely no noise around, you're forced to focus in and hone in on who you are as a person. People have so many things to distract themselves, social media, whatever it may be. I'm saying people, phone, calling somebody. When you're in this state where nothing's going on, you have to focus in and hone in on yourself. And I think that's helped me realize a lot about myself that's not so good, and a lot about myself that is good. And I think with that, I'm able to express that in songs and situations and past relationships I've had. And that's kind of, this is how it's helped. It's like you said, songs are made in turbulence and turmoil. And I feel like there's always an internal struggle, but you get to visually see that a lot more when nothing else is going on. So I've gotten to express that in my music.
I think it's kind of sort of a reality check when like you said, when the noise goes away, it's a reality check because it's just you battling yourself and how you progress every day. Speaking of that, before we get to the music, do you see, hold up, one thing. Cats in the City, did you want to check in?
No, definitely. I'm just interested. I feel like we're on the same page with your question about kind of like the future, but can just go ahead and I'll jump in.
Do you, because you're a performing artist, right? You're a tour, you're a traveler, your clubs, your shows, even when you came to the States. Do you see that changing this year? Or do you see this form of music and how it's being put out being the new normal? You know, the Timberland, the Swiss Beats, the live concerts that we've seen socially. Being a performing artist, do you see that being what it is for the remainder of the year?
I definitely see that, and I see it continuing. I see it continuing even past that. I think now that the idea is open and the idea is exposed, I don't see no reason why certain artists wouldn't want to not tour and just have, or even do like intimate shows, and then just have people pay for them. I mean, it makes sense, and it's just opened the doors for that stuff now. So I think it's great. It's definitely great. It's giving artists another opportunity to not even leave your house and just kind of get out there and do your thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at what's going on right now. I like it. Just adapt, right?
Interesting, man. A lot of people mad right now, man. Not you. Okay. Just say it, Tay. So you got some new music.
Man, I got some new music.
I saw the new single. Look, I'm gonna say this one more time, man. Stop trying to beat me to the gym. I don't know what you're doing. Trying to get my shoulders right.
The gyms are closed. This is all I got right here. Let me show you, man. All I got is my perfect push-ups. That's all I've been doing. Now cracking it out. That and my ab roller, and that's it, man. That's all I can do, man.
How many a day? How many a day?
I try and knock it at least 100, 200 a day.
All right, you tripping. All right.
So that's on my African genes keeping me strong now.
Have we heard any acapella music? I mean, because I saw all this. I'm like, well, have we heard my man? Because Cassidy, have you heard any of his music yet?
I haven't, but I'm super excited. I'm ready.
Yeah,
early in the morning on Monday.
I working out and all that. I'm trying to hear the music. I'm waiting on a little bit of music here.
Get it. Let's get it. I'm ready. Let's get it.
So this is the new single?
You know what? I'm actually gonna play y'all some new stuff on my new EP. I have a new EP called Ekundayo. And what it means is from darkness to light. It's in my language Yoruba, and it's just kind of expresses my story, man. Everything I've been through, and kind of just I feel like I'm gaining more clarity as we always are growing, and this is it. So I'm gonna play y'all a joint actually called Entourage off of my new EP. I hope y'all like it.
Rolling out AM all the way from Toronto, Canada. Hit it,
Hey.
Thirsty, I'ma need a cup. When you walk in, well, I beat it up. But you're bossy and you don't give a fuck. So fly, you go wild, but you're in the cut. You the type I wanna lay down, but I need a type of gonna stay down. Looking at girls a different way now. Get you with it, I'ma have to put my name down. I don't need no entourage. I just want your love on top of me. She already know my flaws. Can't nobody take my pain from me. I don't need no entourage. I just want your love on top of me. She already know my flaws. Can't nobody take my pain from me. That's my pain. 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 That's my you know, there ain't no you type that you bring on to my mom. And all of her bills she got covered. Play hard to get it, you get it, she take care of home. One of the boys, throw on that 2K, you damn right she bought. With her every minute, though she don't save me. Girl so good, I'll never get it. Little white girl, she's a sweet old girl, about the sweetest little girl in the whole wide world. She a lady in the streets with a freak in the world. We bust down the bed and pound the floor.
What's the name of that?
It's called Entourage.
Where did that come from? What inspired that?
Come on, man. I'm a little bit of a. You know what's funny? My old manager always called me the Bobby Brown of the group. So, this is a Bobby Brown turning right. You know, Bobby Brown realizing he don't need nobody else. He just needs one little person to be his entourage. That's all.
Now, the beat is crazy. Who made the beat, brother?
This one was my dude C Sharp in Toronto. C Sharp.
Right, C Sharp, and you came in. Where were you guys? Did you make this before the pandemic, or is this something y'all been able to make together during this pandemic?
Actually, right before the pandemic, we had I work at a community center with youth, and he comes out there a lot of times. We just, after the day, we was like, hey, let's just get something cracking. He put this on.
Y'all put that together. What else you got for us? I really enjoyed that, man.
I want the new single.
New single.
Give me one more. Give me the new single, because you've been promoting it all week.
Ooh. Okay, hold on. The new. You want that motivation?
Yeah, with some motivation. Motivational Mondays on Rolling Out AM, and we are here live with our brother from Toronto. It is the artist that you need to follow, the artist that is definitely putting it down. We appreciate him waking up with Rolling Out AM, and of course, we've got Cass in the city and Romeo International, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Introduce this next song for us.
This song right here is my single that I just pushed. The video's out on YouTube right now. Please click my link, click that, enjoy the video. It's a very,
who you are.
This is your boy Tammy. African-born, Toronto raised. I'm playing this joint for you.
This your boy Timmy from Rolling Out AM, and then hit that button, play.
I'm loving the way you love me. I'm loving the way you touch me. I'm loving the way you told me. You're my motivation. I'm loving the way you love me. I'm loving the way you touch me. I'm loving the way you told me. You're my motivation. I get so excited, and I ain't tryna fight it. You're the one. You the one that made this song, and you the one that I call home. And even when the rain is falling, you don't let it phase you. You're so wonderful. There's been a lot of girls, can't nobody do it like you.
I like that,
you know that you got it all, make them wanna fall. They can't touch you, cause I got it all. You know that you got it all, make them all fall. They can't touch you, cause I got it all. In the way you love me, I'm loving the way you touch me. I'm loving the way you told me. You're my motivation. I'm loving the way you love me. I'm loving the way you touch me. I'm loving the way you told me. You're my motivation.
Hey, Tay. Hold on a second.
Talk to me.
I want you to do something real special for Rolling Out Wake Up AM.
Talk to me.
I need that verse. I need that first verse a cappella.
Let's get it.
I need the first verse a cappella.
And let everybody know how you pronounce your name. Give us an intro. This is on Rolling Out AM. And
what's going on? It's your boy Tammy on Rolling Out AM, and you pronounce the name Tammy. Let me give y'all a little bit of something. I get so excited. I ain't trying to fight it. You're the one. You the one that made this song, and you the one that I call home. Even when the rain is falling, you don't let it phase you. You're so wonderful. There's been a lot of girls, can't nobody do it like you. You know that you got it all. Make them wanna fall. They can't touch you, cause I got it all. You want it all, make them all fall. They can't touch you, cause I got it all.
My man!
Yes.
Great. Hey man, I thank you so much for checking in to the AM morning show, man.
Thank you, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes. Thank you for the motivation this morning.
Thank you, guys.
We had to get Toronto in the building. You know, I was like, I haven't seen my man. How's your son?
He's good, man. He's good. He's great. He's great.
Yeah. Well, no, it's much love from Rolling Out AM. Wake up. We'll be checking in with you from time to time. But know that we're always here for you, and obviously we'll get a great interview with you. So if Cass and you'll connect, we'll actually get a story going so we can talk about, your creativity and what else is going on, what motivated this song. But that song's bananas, man. Great.
I
Great.
love that song.
Great single.
That's my joint, man.
Has
Can
a
we
real.
get Cass in the video?
Cass,
The video is done, right?
Can
The
Cass
video
dance
is
in the
done.
video?
I need what the motivation videos, but I need the entourage video. It's not finished yet. So Cass, I'm gonna need you to fly over here so we get that.
Oh man, maybe once the pandemic is over, I got you. Never been to Toronto.
Well, no, that would be a kind of creative thing. You know what I mean? Like, she's sequestered in her spot and you're sitting there telling her that, I only need one in my entourage. I'm not going to move without you. And you're kind of setting it up. And, she's doing the video for you. She's changing the clothes for you. She's looking the part for you. And you're shooting it in this scenario where she's the only one that'll be in the entourage. And then all of a sudden y'all end it with this whole bananas.
They go to the director.
So
Yep.
Everybody's in there and y'all are dancing with each other and it's coming real close and the camera's there and that's it, and she's the only one in your entourage. So
only one in the entourage.
I think you shoot it that way. It's very dramatic and everybody gets it. You're all by yourself and she's carrying her camera talking to you at the same time. And
then you directing it.
Yeah.
Guess he's gonna punch me in my eye one day.
Clearly. He's direct. He just gave you the whole layout, huh?
That's perfect. That's great. So
it's in that moment, particularly if you're talking about that one, you're writing to her there, this verse is for you, and now we're gonna do this video, and obviously you're my entourage.
Mm-hmm.
Hey bro, man, stay home, stay safe. We fam from way back to now, man. Love you, the whole family. Thank you so much for checking in on the AM Monday Motivation, man. I really appreciate you, bro.
Well, y'all too, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Take care.
All right, man. Oh, Cass in the entourage. Cass gonna hit me one day.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
That was great. Thank you for having him on, Romeo. That was a good morning.
Romeo.
Wake up.
Where does this keep coming back to Romeo?
Okay, well, Munson, everybody.
Romeo and Tammy, he said, this is my guy. I remember when he came to the office and
okay.
me and Romeo were kicking it. And then he's just a positive. The one thing I love about Toronto is it is such a warm, positive city. It's modern, it's big, and encouraging. So he's just a wonderful spirit to meet when you meet him. And then all that talent came out. So I knew, I said, hey, Romeo, come on, get your guy to come back and hang out with the family.
And they're real laid back. You said a positive city. They're real laid back for some reason. Just today is the day and they just go with it type stuff. So.
Oh, yeah. No, beautiful, beautiful stuff. I really enjoy that. When you think about that entourage, many people gonna have entourages right about now. I'm like, he got it right. Entourage of one. That's the perfect song for all of y'all. Entourage of one. Yeah. Cass, how about a great report this morning? Spark it up.
Yes.
Now AM.
It was a very busy weekend. We've been talking about the Versus battle between Jill Scott and Erykah Badu all week leading up to Saturday. So I want to, get you guys' thoughts on how this was. Amir, Romeo, Munson. I know everyone was tuned in, but they had 1 billion impressions. Like, people were really tuned in for this. Like, they broke the internet. And I really enjoyed it, and I'll give my thoughts, but I just want to know what you guys thought. I know there was like who I think is going to win. I was never picking, obviously, but you guys let me know what your thoughts were on the battle when you tuned in.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, it was kind of like being on a couch and then you just like listening to someone just soothe your soul, listening to two sisters just preach to you, give you inspiration for the week, and just talk to you about love, life, relationships. and it's like sitting at your auntie's house and just taking all the vibes in, man. It was real cool, laid back session. I really enjoyed it.
Definitely.
I watched more of the comments, and the comments were just so like healing. Like it was so separate from the Babyface and Teddy Riley comments. Everybody was in there like praying for people and sending out. It was nice, very nice.
Yeah, I think it kind of just cannibalized the idea of verses and truly talked about love and unity and making a whole spiritual transformation, which many of those, but let's grab a little bit of the verses on IG. I guess we want to watch some of that.
Yeah, they made a little recap.
No, Miss Obama's in the building.
Hello, dog.
Man, lady, you gon' hurt your back.
That felt so good.
You always answer calls. When I call, you come. Now keep in mind that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Uh-oh. No. We're gonna keep this thing going.
I think you better. And I'm so happy that you play Tyrone for me. That's what real women do.
Oh, Twiz wants to hear Cross My Mind because him and Andre Harrell spoke about it last week.
Oh.
And that was the song Andre was looking forward to.
I was just thinking about you.
So that was just a little snippet of what went down on Saturday. Like I said, it was all about sisterhood. It was infectious. Like their vibe back and forth was amazing. At one point, like you saw there, Erica kind of went out and Jill started playing Tyrone. And it was just a great moment. Like you said, unity. So I really enjoyed that this weekend.
Romeo, on social media, what was the feedback like when the Tyrone? Because a lot of people were saying Tyrone unplugged the computer, he unplugged the phone, and he didn't charge the phone battery. What were people saying? What did you guys see about that Tyrone moment? Because that was definitely a moment.
It's so funny, man. A lot of dudes were commenting that they're so used to Tyrone that they just accepted it. They've either accepted that they're Tyrone or they already know a Tyrone. And when it first came out, all the dudes were mad. Nobody's mad no more. Everybody's like, I know Tyrone. Okay, it's our fault. So we accepted it, Cassidy. We accept our Tyrone and who we know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just good vibes, good music. So it was a good time. It was fun. It was, just a community moment. So I really enjoyed that. It was also Mother's Day, obviously. Another video I really enjoyed, Kirk Franklin and his family did a Mother's Day tribute, and it was a remix of the Savage song. So Megan Thee Stallion Savage. So I want to go to that and show. It was really cute. It was all about family and mothers. So I really wanted to show this morning.
And this was done.
You can pull it up. It's just Kirk Franklin, his family. You get to see his daughter, who recently just had a baby, as well as his wife and wife's mother.
Yeah, it's one of those moments that everybody was.
Yeah, just a very, kind of loving thing. And they made a unique remix.
Let's go!
I'm a mama, living free, no drama. Like Michelle Obama, period, no comma. Like my mama, I'm a mama, living free, no drama. No drama. Like Michelle Obama. Barack. Period with no comma. Like my mama. Like her mama. I'm a mama. Living free, no drama. Like Michelle Obama. Period with no comma. I'm Big Mama. She, I'm mama. I'm a mama.
So I thought that was super cute.
Mama.
So I thought that was super, super cute remix all about Mother's Day. So I loved that. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. And they obviously talk about Michelle Obama. So I thought it was so awesome. And obviously so many people were sharing about Mother's Day, shouting out their moms, grandmas, everyone in their family, aunts. So finally, I mean, obviously there were so many with celebrities, but Kevin Hart and his wife, Aniko Hart, revealed the gender of their baby, and they announced they're having a baby girl on Mother's Day. So congratulations to them. There were so many amazing messages from celebrities. I couldn't even pull them all up, but I thought this was super cool because, you know, they're revealing that they are introducing a new child to their family and that it's going to be a baby girl. So that's super exciting for them. Congratulations. Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there, grandmothers, stepmothers, play mothers, adopted mothers, everybody. So I hope everyone had a good Mother's Day. And that's all for me.
Well, thanks, Cass. Great stuff. He ended the note with the mask on, so that was good.
Yes.
I was really, touched also that Little Richard passed this weekend, and just to hear the great steps, but the tragedy of robbed in publishing, robbed in the whole idea of his song and pennies on the dollar for his creativity. I didn't want it to overshadow, not that there's any comparison between him and Andre Harrell at all. The other thing about Andre, I wanted, I read, and a lot of it was just kind of said, and he started with this, but I think that they minimized on Andre just as a CEO and the executive, what he meant to the industry and the very integrity that he created for so many. It just didn't do justice to who he actually was in the industry. For him, for all those that, for me, at least, Amir, it appeared that they wanted to rest on, particularly Diddy.
He was bigger. He was bigger than Diddy.
And it just kind of goes to show when you're an African American executive, the whole digging in the crates about who you are. The fact that not only if you did Diddy, then you did everything that was related to Diddy, because you literally propelled, and not only that, you gave a roadmap. The fact that he could actually see and be around a CEO, get in CEO meetings, and somebody who really wanted you to be big. So the thing about, that I thought was missing, that is often missing when you think about not only Andre, that they really weren't saying Andre and a Berry Gordy. They really were not necessarily saying that here's a guy that created a whole sound, that sound that continued, but it was executive sound too. So I noticed that there was a total omission of all the other executives outside of Puffy, and then the whole idea of how it took a different branded approach where he allowed everybody to brand. So Mary J. Blige became a brand. All these people became brands, and it was just missing. So we got to come back and review that, just so that those who want to see leadership and see the insight of him being an executive and the very whole, not just alumni, but how it was important to all these brands that are created, let alone the personalities. And I think that's the missing thing. And then obviously Little Richard was just sad. It's a sad moment that people are still able to say out loud that they robbed him, and it's okay. I mean, it just seems to be an issue that we can't get out of our past that just robbing us is okay, particularly in moments when we don't know better. And you saw it, Cassidy, on the Clark sisters, where even they had to come up and say, oh, you just gave away your publishing. You gave away your children's future. And it's financing somebody else's children's future. So
I remember I got the opportunity to meet Andre Harrell once, and he introduced me to Hard Pierre. And it was like, we're talking about young Romeo, like interning in the streets. And he literally, with no reason, was like, yeah, Hard, young dude hungry, give him something to do. And this is like somebody that I had met through, I think at Great Street at a point in time, I had somebody I met. And like literally doing that with no intent or no want from me personally, just to say, hey, give this young dude a chance. He actually got me my when I was doing promotions for Bad Boy for like 6 months, for a summer, for a summer internship. So I really do think he is more than just a name. He is an icon, literally an icon.
Well, no, I think what you're saying is kind of the whole role of ultimately that CEO. Here's what we're doing for everybody. Keep it moving in the streets. Grow young soldiers. Grow young executives. But it's the same for Little Richard. Here's your style, Prince. You can be who you are. You can wear makeup. You can play the music. You can sing. You can dance. And it just seemed to be omitted. I mean, you had all the rockers, but it was very little that was coming. You know, obviously Michael. Everybody else saw that. I can dance. I can be beyond what you imagine or want me to be. And then they called him rock and roll versus, it's ours. So it's a real exciting thing that happened. But I want our community to celebrate. And sometimes I think it's so much attention going on that it's one versus the other. And I think we've got to figure out how we don't say goodbye too soon, given the fact that we can't mourn properly, that we can't necessarily, and families can't mourn properly. So, as motivation, go look at old, great Little Richard music and see how he actually did his thing. But I think he influenced a lot of artists that really aren't being said outside of when you see the list of tall white rockers.
So we gotta look at his lineage, right? So these are the people who worked for Richard Pryor. I'm sorry, not Richard Pryor, but Little Richard. Richard Pryor's on my mind. Little Richard, Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, like so many people. Ike Turner, like so many artists that came up, years later were up on the Little Richard first. And so we have to always remember that he was one of, like people say, he's the architect of rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Before Little Richard, rock and roll, he created the sound of rock and roll. Like that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to get to let people know that no, his style and his sound was hijacked. Like people stole his sound. They stole his whole movement, the way he was on the piano. They stole that. And so we have to let people know that this is a guy from Macon, Georgia. GA, shout out to GA, and he pretty much changed, influenced the entire sound of a music genre.
Well, I think he even stood up for being who he was. And for many people, that was new. For many people, as it related to LGBT, that was new. I mean, here I am.
So let me give you a tidbit about his flamboyantness, right? So he talked about coming up in the 50s, right? And so the thing about being a black man in the 50s, he said he met a lot of racism when he was coming up and trying to perform. And so in order for him to perform, he would have to emasculate himself because that way white people weren't afraid of him. So he said that was an act because, him being a black man, they say, oh, we can't let you on this stage. But him being emasculated, oh, that's just Little Richard. So he was able to be more accepted when he was emasculated. He talked about it in the interview. I'll pull that interview up so we can see this his exact words. But he talked about how he transformed himself so he could be more acceptable.
Right. But I think he also opened the door for those who had the same feeling now.
For sure.
The fact that many people, and you can pull up for your closing motivation, Paul Laurence Dunbar's we wear masks. So
we wear the mask, yeah.
why don't you pull that up so that we can share that with them as a positive thought at the end of the day? Because many people don't know, like you're pointing to, that there are people wearing masks to make it so we all can make it, because they don't really want to accept who we are. They don't want to accept the genius. And there's a genius growing somewhere that is conflicted on being themselves or actually becoming part of a society and definitely not showing their culture. And it's a trapping time for many people.
For sure. Before we go to our next guest, we have Representative Sarah Anthony from Michigan. I want to pull up some video and some footage of this sister. First, for to kind of give you guys some context of what's happening in Michigan. Of course, a lot of people are protesting. You have this fringe group who they want the state reopened. And so this is Sarah Anthony from Michigan. And so before we show this clip, I want to show the protesters. We have a clip. We have a picture of the protesters.
Rolling out AM in the morning. Romeo International, Kaz in the city.
Okay, so this is what the scene was last week in Michigan on the steps of the state capitol. You had people showing up in rifles, assault rifles. Some had Confederate flags, and this is just a protest. You know, they want the state reopened, and they're fighting against the shelter-in-place order, which basically with the shelter-in-place order, they want to protect everyone so that you won't spread the coronavirus. But you see these people, they don't have masks. They're not practicing social distancing. They have military artillery, and this is what we call protests right now in America, where these people are pretty much trying to express themselves, but what are they really expressing? So if we could go to the next. We could go to the next slide.
And that's the steps. That's the steps of the
steps of the state capitol. And so let's go to the photo of. There we go. So this is Representative Rep Sarah Anthony. She was escorted into the state capitol a few days back with a few Black men who were carrying assault rifles for her protection, because she wanted to make sure that the men wanted to make sure that she was protected while she was walking to the state capitol, walking to her job. So this is where we at right now. This is pretty much what's going on right now. We also have video. We can pull up that video.
Amir Shah, you are blowing me away right now.
No, this is the reality. This is where we are right now in America.
It's unbelievable.
And so this is her being escorted.
Wow.
By 4 armed guards just for her protection. I want to make sure there's a young woman in there too. It was a young woman that was there with her.
So while the video is loading, right? So she's not being escorted by the police.
Yeah, so that's footage of her being escorted into her job, basically. You had a question, Romeo?
Yeah, so she's a state official.
Yeah, she's a House of Representatives, yeah.
So she's not being escorted by official police. She's escorted by gentlemen who actually took the time out to
But let's
protect her.
talk to our guest, Romeo, and she can explain everything about that moment. She is here. So thanks so much. And we want to hear from her. So I want you to hear right from our guest. Welcome all the way from Michigan on Rolling Out AM, the wake up call. Time to wake up. For all y'all who don't believe, we need to have a little bit of Joe, yes, but phenomenal exercise. I mean, it was definitely an appropriate response. We really salute you as a leader. We've got Michelle Obama. I saw walking with you, walking to the State House. I saw all the sisters. My wife belongs to a gun club there in Chicago, the Right to Bear Arms. We are so proud, and thank you for coming on to Rolling Out in the AM, Representative Anthony. Can you describe and go with Amir through this whole experience and how this started?
Yeah, and thank you for having me on. When you wake up some mornings, you never know what you're going to face. And this last couple of weeks and months have really been a whirlwind for not just me, but many of us who are, serving in any type of leadership capacity in our communities or, even in our so last, I guess the April 30th, I keep saying last week, but time is moving. On April 30th, there was another big protest at our Michigan State Capitol building. There's been several in my community over the past few weeks, I guess nearly a month, as we've had the stay-at-home order here in Michigan. And, it's caused a lot of folks to be frustrated, to be angry, to be confused, because many folks are suffering in our state. We have record number unemployment. People are sick. We, at one point, were number 3 in the entire country for deaths and diagnosis. And so there's a lot happening in Michigan right now. In the backdrop of all of that that's happening with the coronavirus, there was a large protest. And, while some folks were protesting because their small business is closed or they are unemployed, a small yet very vocal fringe group showed up at the Capitol and decided that was the time that they wanted to fly Confederate flags and bring nooses to the Capitol and bring swastikas and signs, depicting our governor as Hitler. So all of this hatred met many of us at the Capitol building that day. And it definitely created a very tense and very frightening environment. And so, when I got into my office after, going through that large kind of hostile crowd, social media, really not to vent, but because the Capitol is in my legislative district, and many of these protests have created traffic jams, disturbances to the neighborhoods surrounding the community. I got on social media just to give a bird's eye view of what was happening and to talk about the traffic flow and what people could expect if they were just literally trying to get to work. But I think something just kind of snapped or triggered in me because of all of the hatred that we were seeing on that Capitol lawn. And I think what took things to the next level is that the same individuals who were flying those Confederate flags and had those nooses and all of those hateful signs were then let into the Capitol building, and many had large assault weapons, right? So automatic weapons. And no one has been able to explain to me the correlation between the protest around the stay-at-home order and, your AR-15. Right? What does your AK-47 and your Second Amendment rights have to do with, the government's, urging you to stay home in order to preserve your life? And that was just like a step too far for me. And so, I think folks saw that frustration and and I think people in my community reached out to me and were disturbed by the fact that it didn't feel like I had a covering in that moment. And so folks stepped up. They called me and said, if you need us, we will be there. And, there's always a conversation around, do we as African Americans enjoy the same rights, the same liberties as everyone else? And a conversation that was happening online was, if Black men and women were to go into that same Capitol building, would they be treated in the same way? And that conversation really was at the backdrop of, community members who, whether they were armed or not, saw their state representative and didn't feel like she had the protection she needed. So that's really the backdrop of what's been going on over the last couple of days in Michigan.
I want to talk about the rights as far as protection, right? Because you have individuals with assault weapons inside of the state capitol. At what point are you guys protected? Because, we have this fringe group, they're yelling at people, they're frustrated, and they have assault rifles. When do the authorities step in and say, okay, enough is enough?
That is a really interesting question. And I think that sparked some of the discussion around protection of legislators, protection of individuals who are just in the Capitol building, right? So we know that even in that state capitol, we have over 100,000 school children that come into our Capitol building to learn about Michigan's history. We have janitorial staff, legislative staff, tour guides, all of these individuals who are in that Capitol building. And right now, we allow weapons in our state Capitol building. We're one of the last few states to do that. And one of the biggest questions that I've been asked and challenged about is, why aren't you being protected by the official, the sergeant at arms and the state police? And for me, there was not a plan to keep us safe that day. There was never a memo that went out from the police, from the law enforcement, from security that said, if things go sour, we can walk you to your car. We can walk you to and from the Capitol building and your legislative office. That offer was never made. Even as the armed gunmen were feet away from us as we were trying to vote, right? There was never an escape plan. If they were, going to just open fire on us, what's our exit strategy? None of that was provided to us in advance of, these protests, which are always publicized online, which are all, we know when they're coming, right? But instead of them having our back in that way and being proactive, many of us were just disappointed. We honestly felt like sitting ducks. And so I think that was my frustration and my nervousness. But the thing that has been keeping me up at night, if I can just be honest with you, is I appreciate, the brothers and sisters who, escorted me and wanted to step up to say, whether they're armed or not, they wanted to have my back. But I would not be able to live with myself if, because of this powder keg of a situation, one of my kids, right? My tax dollars go to law enforcement. They go to the state police. That is who is actually deputized and trained to do this work. It should not take community members with a willing heart and passion just to keep, their law officials safe. It shouldn't take that. We have people who we hire to do that work, and I'm pressing on them to do that so that my community members aren't made to be put in that situation.
But the entire movement, once you saw that, it just seems like a threat. I mean, it didn't even appear. And I think we're seeing it there. They've seen it at Congress, that it's part. And the sad part is that there's a danger because there's a threat. It's not like these symbols are symbols of peace. These symbols, if somebody's showing a noose, then that's for a particular group. And if you're showing a swastika, that's a particular group and it has a particular meaning. And at that point, it's almost like you're being assaulted as a legislator, which was my fear. It's like that here you are. And then the response seemed very inappropriate. Like, well, we're looking into this matter, like after it happened. So who at this moment is creating a new protocol to safeguard, your life? It seems like it's the response was, "Oh, we didn't anticipate it," but they had to anticipate it. So it almost felt like there was a collaboration of somebody to allow it to get to that point.
I'll say this, a couple of things are in the works right now. Today, the Michigan State Capitol Commission, it's a small group that decides what happens in the Capitol and the Capitol grounds. They will be meeting at 11 o'clock to decide whether individuals will be able to carry firearms in our Capitol building. That is a first step. Our Attorney General has determined that this group has the power to do so, to actually determine whether firearms should be allowed in the building, right? So I can't go to the courthouse with firearms. Across the street from the Capitol building is my city hall. You can't bring your firearms into those buildings, right? So that is not me being anti-Second Amendment. That is being anti-common sense, that we shouldn't have to be voting and making these big decisions on behalf of our constituents with armed gunmen, staring down at us. That just makes no sense to me. So that's the first thing. I have also been in conversations with our law enforcement to say, what is the plan? Can you put the plan in writing? We know that these are escalating. We have data that says that white supremacy groups and other fringe radical groups are growing. They are using the pandemic. They're using this public health crisis to recruit, to build on this frustration that people have who are unemployed, who are nervous about how they're going to feed their families. And they're saying, well, then join this movement. And those folks are the problem, and that is not indicative of our state as a whole, right? That is a fringe small group, but it is a group. And it is something that we have to be diligent about. And so I am pressing to make sure that folks know that this stuff is happening. And I am hopeful that our state police and our sergeant at arms will, create some of these protocols to keep us safe and everyone in that building safe.
If you could, go ahead. Go ahead, Munson.
Go ahead, Amir.
No, if you could speak about the disparities in Michigan, because Michigan is being hit hard right now by the coronavirus, and specifically Detroit. If you could speak about the disparities when it comes to race and the coronavirus, and what do you think can be done to make sure that we protect our community?
Yeah, race definitely matters, right? So our governor, with partnership with our lieutenant governor, created a task force to actually analyze the disparities around COVID-19, specifically racial disparities. It's been said sometimes that when America gets a cold, Black America gets the flu. And that analogy has been so true. We see that disproportionately it's been impacting, communities of color, specifically African Americans. Our Southeast Michigan corner of our state, which includes Detroit, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties, have been hit so hard. But even in my community, right, in Ingham County, which is where the Capitol building is, we see these large disparities, right? I can just speak from my own experience. My church has been hit particularly hard. We've had several folks who have been diagnosed, who have passed away. A very popular pastor, an African-American pastor in my community that, not too far from my church, passed away a couple of weeks ago. So this is hitting us extraordinarily hard. And, one of the things that I mentioned to one of the protesters in an earlier protest, I just said, you clearly do not know what it's like to have to face individuals in your community who are sick and who are dying. You have not had to plan a funeral service and only had to select 10 people in your family to mourn the loss of grandma, right? If you have not felt the weight of what this pandemic has done to our families, then you clearly have the privilege to come out here and to protest, right? But for those of us who see this, right in our face, it's just something that we just can't play with. And I understand the frustration of folks, this economic impact that it's having on our people all over the state, regardless of their color, right? It's the number one thing that I'm hearing about, right? It's not guns in the Capitol, it's unemployment, right? It's making sure people are gonna survive this in terms of their livelihoods. But at the end of the day, this still is a public health crisis. And because of some of our underlying health conditions, we are, absolutely susceptible and are being affected disproportionately.
Yeah, but the front line, I mean, obviously the bus driver in Detroit, there's been a McKinsey report which really talks about investing in the COVID experience and how we should adjust it, given the fact that both Black and brown people are on the front line and don't have an option, and it is part of their job. And many of them are showing up, cashiers, bus drivers, without any protection. And this caught everybody off ground. So the impact of African Americans and Black and brown people being on the front line, even police officers, fire, it's a tough, like we're invisible. It's like we're the help still. And nobody really wants to acknowledge this. And you see it with frontline workers with no protection, and even in hospitals, not any preparation. And it's one to talk about nurses and doctors, but there's the nurses assistant. It's the ladies helping the seniors have a whole bowel program. And people don't want to be honest that that is a job that nobody still wants in the hospital, but our community has that job. And they don't have a choice but to be on public transportation and then come back to their home and not necessarily be able to actually go and be in a quarantine space. So it is a terrible situation. And I look forward to that panel, but making the investment in our community for those jobs, and particularly given the fact that now we know that they didn't have access. There's a Death Angel video from Detroit, and a guy got turned away twice. And he shared how he got turned away from a hospital, and they told him to go get Robitussin. So I think that, huge disparities that happened, but there are some success there that I see in Detroit, since that's one of the towns that we spend a lot of time on. But clearly those are on the front line are just getting annihilated from nurses, doctors, and obviously bus drivers. So we appreciate you coming on here, Rolling Out AM. Let the people know how they can follow you and what the next steps are in your movement, because we want to keep you coveted and obviously protected, because it takes a lot of courage to do what you do. So we admire what you're doing, but we also want to keep you in prayer. How can people follow you?
Yeah, so they can follow me on all social media, just Sarah Anthony 517. Is the best way to reach me on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm not the best at social media, so provide a little grace for me. But all of those mediums, they can reach me, and I'm pretty responsive to, as you know, I'm pretty responsive to emails as well. But the other thing I would just say is, please keep Michigan and keep myself in your thoughts and in your prayers. This is a rough time. I keep describing this time as a powder keg in our state and in our nation. Whether we are talking about race relations, whether we're talking about economy, the moment in which we need to be coming together, but also thinking about after this pandemic, how do we not just go back to where we were? Because as you mentioned, things have been inadequate. We have had this gap, the haves and the have-nots. Who has these frontline jobs? How much they're, making? What does the healthcare system look like for someone on the front line right now who works at a grocery store or who is a bus driver? So I think this is the time that all these systems have collapsed. And so when we're putting them back together, what does that look like? I don't want to go back to the way things were. Let's build them right this time, because I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity to do that. And so that's what I'm going to be laser focused on. But I just appreciate the support from you all and from literally hundreds of people across the country and across the world who have reached out to support what we're doing. So thank you.
But before we let you go, I want to talk about the viral moment. You going viral? Like how was that? Like, did you expect or just what was it like to see that so many people from around the world were paying attention to you and actually supporting you in this moment?
Next level. I told you I'm not good at social media. You'd be surprised to know I'm actually kind of a private person. And so for people all across the world, for Charlamagne the God to call me a queen and say, look, she's practicing self-care. I'm like, oh my goodness, so definitely, a surreal experience, but also one that was challenging because folks across the world were creating a narrative that wasn't necessarily mine. And I know that anyone who is in any public position just has to get used to that, but it's something that I am slowly getting used to in a very accelerated fashion, I guess you could say. So, but yeah, it's important for us to see ourselves in positions of power. I will say that. And so if I can inspire anyone to want to step up to public service, then that's the biggest win. I just want people to be able to do that without fear of harm and intimidation. And I think the biggest message that I think that I've hoped to inspire is one of community. That even if you took away the guns from the men who came and stepped up, the men and women who came that day, they just wanted to support someone that they had elected, someone in their community. And I think that is a powerful message that isn't told, that we actually support each other and we step up when we see someone feels unsafe, that we do what we need to do for our community.
Yeah, I definitely think the idea of the threat is real. And I think your community had the right action. We know based on Brunswick and the very system that covered up that murder for almost 3 months until the world shined a light, that you definitely needed to be able to shine, at least clap back at those who showed up inappropriately with a threatening message to those in the state house. So your governor had something to say, but we know that our lives are at risk and your life was at risk. So really love that. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And we'll look forward to meeting back at Rolling Out AM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rep. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
Amazing, man. Amazing story, Amir.
Yeah, man. It's, you hit it, man. It's just we have to really pay attention to what's happening around us. For a sister to have to be armed to walk into her job is crazy. This is 2020. It's crazy. Like, why do we have to still do this? If you looked at that, if you saw those images, it looked like the 1960s, looked like the 1950s. But this is here we are today, where sister just doing her job, and she's forced to have an armed men to escort her into her job, which is insane.
I'm actually pleased that she did it, and I'm happy that it happened. Sometimes the best method of nonviolence is deterrence. And the fact is that when you cower people back into a corner, you must show a sign of strength. And I'm glad that she was able to show that that she's not going to cower from the cowards who basically yelled in their face, spit in their face, and had them scared to death to even do their jobs. So it was basically a paragon of strength in that moment.
But also King James, Amir, one of the things that really blew me away was the fact that she said that they're having a meeting about whether or not guns can be brought inside the Capitol building. Like, in my head, like, what's the meeting about? Like,
yeah, so we could go back, and I know James alluded to this. King James Shropshire alluded to this last week about the Black Panthers. They brought guns into the California state capitol, and it was a law passed right after that. And so you saw these states that were creating these laws right after that. And I guess Michigan, it didn't get to Michigan, because certain like a few states that still don't have that law where it's illegal to have assault weapons or any weapon inside the state capitol. So we could go back to the Black Panthers. That's when they were armed. They were armed into the interstate capitol. And Ronald Reagan, who was the governor of California at the time, he pretty much stopped that because of the Black Panther, black armed men in the state capitol.
It was worse than that. They were not just stopped, and they were not just, Ronald Reagan, who was the governor, and the NRA, helped to, basically come up with the legislation and the lobby efforts to wipe out the ability of anyone to show their arms in public. But the Black Panthers were decimated after that. They were destroyed. They were called the most dangerous threat to the internal security of the United States by the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover. But I would love to see the NRA I dare the NRA to basically say that they're going to try to remove the ability of a private citizen to carry the guns in public in Detroit. I like to see them do that now, because they didn't do it when they were storming the State House the other day. Now that a Black woman has Black armed guards who are escorting her to work, I would dare the NRA to try to take away their weapons, as they did the Black Panthers in the 1960s, which is basically terribly ironic, given how much they are fighting any efforts to stop anyone from, basically having gun control in the United States.
All right, you want to finish your report, Amir?
Yeah, so I want to give everyone an update on the Ahmaud Arbery case. Of course, this is a case that's been making headlines across the nation, even around the world. As we stated last Friday, Gregory and Travis McMichael, they were arrested and charged with murder and assault, felony murder, and the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. Now people are calling for the governor they're calling for the FBI to take over this case. They don't trust what's happening in Georgia. They don't trust the DA, so they want a federal probe into this case. They want the Justice Department to step in and actually do what's right. There's been a lot of back and forth that's been going on this weekend. More video footage surfaced of Ahmaud. He was walking through like an abandoned house, I guess, and they caught footage of that. But nothing was stolen, nothing extra, nothing. He was basically just looking into the house. And so a lot of the conversation on social media as far as was he in the wrong as far as the trespassing, whether is a lot of speculations about did the McMichaels have cause to chase him down and do a citizen arrest, which is legal in Georgia. So there's been a lot of back and forth going on social media as far as what this case will look like in the courtroom. And so there's been a lot of feedback. What do you guys think about what's happening so far in this case? I know we got an arrest. And what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far and what's happening, like the latest? What do you guys think about what's happening with this case?
Cassie?
I heard a little bit about him going into the house. I wasn't very clear on if it was just an abandoned house or
under construction.
A house under construction. At the end of the day, it really comes down to the fact that regardless if they could have done a citizen's arrest, this man was killed. And that is unacceptable. They don't have the right to do that. So at the end of the day, we have to talk about the fact that he is no longer with us. They took the law into their own hands and it went way too far. Regardless of if he was going into a house, whether it was abandoned, whether it was under construction, I don't think there's any way that we can say that what happened was okay or try to justify it.
Yeah. So it's just like I said, it's going to be a lot going on in the upcoming days. We're going to get more information as time goes on. I don't think we're going to hear the last of this. This is going to be a case that we're going to follow closely as the weeks go on. I want to kind of turn the page to Blacks and social distancing. We're going to go to Andre next, but when I talked about Blacks and practicing social distancing, there's been a lot of Blacks across the nation have been assaulted for not practicing social distancing. And we have a clip from a Walmart store. We can pull that up. A Black woman, she was told to put on a mask and a face mask before she entered. There was some conversation with the cop, and the cop basically slammed her to the ground. And she was charged with aggravated assault, but the cop, people are. We're gonna pull up this footage in 1 second, but people are responding to this. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in New Jersey. Blacks have been assaulted, have been harassed for not practicing social distancing. Now, we want people to be safe. We want people to be healthy, but we don't think that people should feel like they're in danger for not practicing social distancing. And so, what do you guys think about what's happening as far as these videos that we've seen, especially in New York and New Jersey, police harassing individuals in their own community for not practicing social distancing?
Well, on one hand, I just look at the absence, just like with the police killings and the police beatdowns, the chokeouts. There's never any video or evidence of them ever doing that to Caucasians. It always seems to be minority. It always seems to be us. Mm-hmm. Not one shred of evidence as we look here as
Oh.
Yeah, so as you guys saw that, she was body slammed by an officer for not wearing a face mask, not protecting herself. So we really need to take in consideration what's happening. Let's bring attention to what's going on. And now we want to throw to Crystal in our reality check. Is Crystal here?
That's crazy. Where was the Walmart incident?
The Walmart incident, before we get to Crystal, before the Walmart incident occurred in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, the Walmart. So there's an investigation going on right now. So I'll keep you guys posted on what happens with that.
Reality check.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Crystal.
Welcome to our very first time. It's about time. Rolling out. It is the reality check with Crystal Jordan.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. I've been enjoying the morning show. I'm happy to be included. What's up, everybody? It's Romeo, Cass, Terry, Mr. Steen. But just to provide a little bit of light, I guess, we have a lot of a lot's happening in reality TV. I have to start with the ladies from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Last night was the first episode of the reunion for this season, and pretty much all hell broke loose. Everybody is fighting with Nene. It was just it was a lot. They were all the ladies were Zooming with Andy Cohen live on the first episode. They were all in white. They all look beautiful, but there's definitely going to be some shakeup, I'm assuming, with the next season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, because at this point, everybody is angry. I don't know if it's the pandemic, if it's the social distancing, but all the ladies, there are, I don't think there were any friendships, any alliances. It's all over the place. So Real Housewives of Atlanta, off the chain, off the chain.
What are the nuances? Why are people mad with Nene? I thought people were getting back and being friends again.
Yeah, it's I think that these shows, and we've watched, of course, we all love all the ladies, but I think that because of the way the show is set up, everyone has their turn, right? So it all comes around to this season. Kandi was the one that was starting trouble, and we know Kandi. Kandi's a professional. She's she had her and her husband Todd have their new baby Blaze. They have their little baby A. So she's a family woman. She's a working woman. But now we have her in the position of being the gossiper, and we've never seen Kandi do that. So I think that it has cycles, and I think a lot of it is just to keep the show exciting and keep the viewers connected. We saw Kenya Moore being the peacemaker last night, which we have never ever seen, and it was nice to see. Maybe being a new mother has definitely changed her. We see her going through marital issues. That's another cycle on these shows. You got to remember that these ladies are dealing with their relationships in living color in front of the world. Cynthia Bailey is engaged to be married in October,
but this is still a very new relationship, and she's going through changes with that. So I think
how long
it's all those nuances together.
How long has she been with that young man?
She's been with him a little over a year. They seem like a good fit, but still, they're, you know, he's in LA. She's back and forth from Atlanta. So long distance relationships. And then you add the fact of being, you know, in front of reality TV. All the relationships are tested. We saw Candy and Todd's relationship tested, and initially Kenya Moore's relationship looks like it's about over. She claims they're doing Zoom counseling, but it's just Eva and Mike seem secure. They have a new baby, but she's in the midst of it. So we're just going to pray that the ladies of Real Housewives of Atlanta get it together. And
how's Greg doing?
Yes. But I did want to say that Insecure, another show that we're all paying a lot of attention to, even though it's a scripted series, there's relationships that are seem very much like real life. We see main characters, Issa D and Molly, having friendship issues, which kind of begs the question, are friendships able to go through growth? You know, at the beginning of their friendship, Molly was the one who never had a man. Issa was the one whose life was in turmoil. Now we see Issa getting her life together while Molly now is in a relationship. And so that's causing their friendship to be tested because they're in new roles. So do we think friendships can go through growth? You know, they should be able to, but it's proving very challenging.
Yeah.
So and then another show for the guys, got to make sure we include you guys in, is The Last Dance. Everybody's tuned in to ESPN. I knew you'd like that, Romeo. I knew you guys would like that. The Last Dance, we saw Michael Jordan dealing with just the stress of being this bigger than life superstar. We're kind of getting a chance to see Jordan behind the scenes. We never saw this personal side of him after his father's death, and just the internal turmoil of the Bulls franchise. It's been really amazing to see. Have you guys been enjoying that?
Yes, very much.
I thought it was insightful. I mean, literally for me, it's gotten a little long. Just on how they go back and forth on the clips and things that still are being omitted that you really want to know about. You know, like what was Scottie thinking when he signed that contract, and how you know, what he can do about it. The other thing was, obviously it's created a lot of dialogue about outside of it, about Michael and the loss of his dad and things like that, who kind of, you know, shocking, glaring on how they treat brothers. And obviously being a superstar, clearly he was one of the biggest brands ever. So they created GOAT for him. Yeah. And literally, but I think the other one that everybody's kind of tuning into is that experience with Becoming. So
absolutely. It was beautifully done. I'm sure everybody's gotten a chance to see it on Netflix, but it just kind of, I think it reminded us in this very, very troubling time of why we appreciated the leadership of the Obamas and how they took their position so seriously in the way that they spoke. They watched what they said, and they were very cognizant of that. So I think people really are appreciating just seeing that example, and they've continued to do that. I don't know if you all saw, but Obama actually went online and did some interaction with teachers just to thank them last week for Teacher Appreciation Week. They continue to set a standard of excellence, not just Black excellence, but excellence. And that was doing very well. It's amazing documentary, Michelle Obama, to go along with her book. So that, you know, just a little uplifting things in these times. It's good to see.
Well, let me say this about The Last Dance, because it's not long for me. I'm enjoying every bit of it because I came up in a Kobe era, right? So all of this is new to me.
Oh wow.
So, you know, like you heard of Michael Jordan. I never got to see him, right? Okay. Kobe. So like the one thing that I'm so impressed about is that every little thing, like the tiniest thing, pushed him further. Mm-hmm. Like he would take a piece of somebody saying something or not doing anything to elevate himself. That impresses me. I'm really impressed. It might be petty what he chose, but it still impresses me that those little things pushed him to be more than just. It pushed him to be Superman.
Did you see the relationship they highlighted the relationship between Kobe and Michael, which I thought was wonderful to see, because both of them had issues with their teammates, because both of them were such, perfectionists, and they were so committed to excellence that they did not have time for anyone that wasn't. So I love the idea. I love the fact that they honored Kobe, but they showed that the fact that even though they were on opposing teams, because they were both so committed to being the best, they really had a great relationship. I thought that was beautiful to show.
Right. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it
too, because I did grow up not a basketball fan, but a Michael Jordan fan. I mean, I would watch like a true fan. So I'm enjoying it. And I also think that we don't often get a chance to see that back locker room interaction, and to see that, with him, not letting Horace Grant get a dinner. But I'm sure, our gifted leader probably feels the same way sometimes. Sometimes you just want excellence, and you want people to rise to that occasion, right?
I think that was there's no doubt about it. I think the thing, Romeo, for me, when I say long, it's like, one, it was long overdue. Clearly, we've been waiting a long time. They've had this in tune. Two, in terms of leadership, he kind of described, this is what excellence takes. I really know that I'm at the top of the game. And he kind of looked at the court. Now he comes back again, which is really a testament to kind of saying, I could do it. Y'all just didn't understand. I really wanted to bow out. And a lot of guys just don't get to bow out on their own terms. Mm-hmm. Like literally, as a leader, you're literally saying, come on, I got 4 rings. What's next? It really is not that. And I think that we see him. So for me, it gets long because you work a long time. He still wasn't an owner. He works a long time. He still didn't get all the deals. Like literally, it takes a long time. We got Brand Jordan now. It seems real to you. But during that era, literally, there were things that he could have been offered, teams as an example, that he still had to wait for. And you still didn't get a franchise in one of the bigger cities. So when you think about the movement, Romeo, for me, I'm analyzing, here's a GOAT. He's not going to have a problem getting it financed. Anybody in the world would want to be his business partner. And the offer didn't come. Because sports is not about the activity after you retire. It's like, what's next and what can I own? Because I think all of us have already seen, we don't want to be seen just as athletes. LeBron doesn't want to just be seen as athlete. He wants to definitely be a businessman. He definitely wants to create schools for our children. He wants individuals to be able to go and have a legacy. And so here's Michael, who really didn't have great examples because not many had what he had and hadn't done what he had done. And then the money had become something different. It's very different when all of a sudden your shoes are generating millions of dollars on top of your jerseys, and your agent is saying, and we want a piece of that, and we want a piece of that. So for me, that's kind of why it gets long. It's like, I don't want young people to consume and not understand that there's a business here, y'all. There's a reason, so many shoes are released at the same time. Let's not see as a community that we saw this great, wonderful experience, but there was a shoe release, Romeo. Now, so many people with their stimulus checks went and bought shoes. And that's not Brand Jordan's issue, but at the end of the day, for our community, was it what we should be doing at that moment? Should we kind of like appreciate, and do we all understand that this is a business? Even the releasing of this is a business move. And we've got to really determine what we're seeing for ourselves and how we can apply the business acumen of him creating this Brand Jordan. So for me, that's how I look at it. I'm like, I'm not seeing enough business deals. I'm not seeing negotiations in the back. And so when my young hustlers are watching this, they're once again just consuming versus getting knowledge about his deal, what he's having a conversation with his agent.
Right.
I get
and
that.
His brother's being abused at the same time in his contract.
I was going to ask you, so what do you think the message is in that? Because I think we see Scottie Pippen being someone that I think everyone could admire his dedication and his loyalty. But he ended up, really selling himself short. And I wonder, we look at this and we see we're able to celebrate their greatness. We even see Michael Jordan struggling with obviously a gambling addiction of some type. What do you think the lesson is in leadership as we look at those examples and we see their greatness, but we also see the areas that they did fall short?
Well, I think everyone is human, number one. Two, when it's new and you don't know, literally when you don't know, when you don't have the best representation. And you got to remember, everybody's building off one person. When he signed that deal, that might have been life-changing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an agent and you're not the biggest guy on the team, you just kind of play along. And then after that, it's in the contract. And most people don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to, you've been in that deal, you don't want to rock the boat. I think that the entire look back on something, there are a lot of us in the industry that have changed our behaviors and looked at contracts differently because now we know, oh, somebody else is getting paid. And you see a lot of people, they go to agents that now, I know why I'm at that agent because he has the inside. But I think the community can reflect. I just want young brothers to be able to look at the deals. I want businessmen like Michael Jordan to bring young brothers in a documentary to come in. I think that's what's key. We got RL coming in. Why don't you hold tight, Crystal, and bring on RL, my team, because everybody knows that, and Amir, and I'm gonna fall off for a few minutes and let y'all have it. Crystal, thank you so much. We look forward to you every Monday coming on Rolling Out AM.
So we have R&B singer, songwriter RL coming up. Is he with us yet? Let me make sure if I can see him.
RL causing trouble.
RL had a big weekend, man. He did some good stuff for Mother's Day.
Right. No, I'm talking about RL causing trouble on the R&B tip.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good morning, bro.
What's up, brother?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So somebody been in the gym.
Man, you know I gotta stay. Hey, man, I gotta try to keep it right as much as I can. I got that 3-year-old running around. I'm trying to stay in shape so I can run them boys off. And when she get a little older, you know what I mean?
Got it.
That's what it is, man. So I want to talk about what you did something big for Mother's Day. Want to go to the clip though. We want to show you a video before we get into the interview. We have the video clip of RL's single. Let's see if we got it queued up. Well, before they're working on the video right now. So what's going on, man? Let's talk about this special thing you did for Mother's Day. Here's the video. So we can show the video. We can go into what the inspiration was behind this video.
Okay.
You've been going through something, and you're having doubts in yourself. You gotta hold on now. You're so strong now. I promise you'll make it through. Just hold on now. Has anybody told you you're so amazing? You're so beautiful. Has anybody told you you're so intelligent? You're magnificent. 'Cause baby, you are. Baby, you know. 'Cause baby, you are. Baby, you know. You've been running like crazy, taking care of them babies. You ain't had much time for yourself. Ain't feeling like a lady. Just pull your hair back in a ponytail. Throw on some sweats, you find yourself. You don't need all of that to be all of that. Girl, you're something else. Has anybody told you you're so amazing? You're so beautiful. Yes, you are. Has
Man, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Bro.
Yes.
Let's talk about the inspiration behind that video, man, because it's a lot of layers to that. How did that concept come about?
Well, I talked to Dwayne, the director, and I almost wasn't even going to be in the video because I wanted it to be about everything but me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I try to keep it simple. I wasn't trying to be all super fly or anything like that. I'm kind of known for writing anthems, but it's more like club anthems. And there's certain, my core audience, they would really ask me about Good Love, or we had a record on our first album called My Everything, and they'd be like, we want to hear more records like that. And, now having a daughter, you know what I'm saying, and being married now, I really wanted to do an anthem that was not only just for like a Mother's Day, but just all the time celebrating all women. I guess that, they could say we're also responsible when it comes to videos, but back in the day, we didn't do casting. So all you saw was this kind of girl in the video, and we glorified this kind of woman. And I felt like as I matured and I got more control of what I wanted to show, I wanted to show different aspects and be multifaceted and show different things. And then, of course, I have my wife and my daughter in the video. So I just wanted a different type anthem, a record that all women could play and feel better about themselves, because, it's not a lot of that. And I didn't want it corny either, or, too sappy. I wanted a dude to be able to, I don't care if he thug life or what, sing this to his girl, mouth in the words, whatever, and her feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Cassidy?
No, yeah, definitely. The imagery and everything, the words coming across the screen were so powerful. I loved seeing your daughter. Absolutely. I think this is something that she'll be able to listen to forever as she grows up, to remind her of these powerful messages once she becomes a mother. So it was a beautiful thing and we love it. Obviously, we just celebrated Mother's Day. So I love the messaging.
Thank you so much.
It really is such leadership that you led with this, because brothers have to be vulnerable for the queens. Brothers have to be vulnerable with their emotions, and we've got to take away from that absenteeism of dad that is perpetuated is not being in our daughters' lives, not being there for our community, not being able to be emotional. So, when you were coming up with these lyrics, man, where were you when you wrote this song? And how'd you come up with this? Because, it just is so vulnerable for a Black male to be honest.
Well, it's funny because I have my son, he's 24. And all of a sudden I have a 3-year-old, right? So I would watch my daughter sleep, like to the point where you're making sure her chest is going up and down, you're scared. And I'm not saying it was different from my son as far as the love, but the attention of just watching her was different. Maybe because now that I'm a little older, I slowed down, things have slowed down, I appreciate things more. But the funny part is, and I have to give credit, my mother-in-law would always tell my daughter, you're awesome, amazing, but then she'd say adorable. I couldn't say adorable in the song, so I switched it to incredible. I was inspired by all the love and attention my daughter got. I try to absorb and watch other people and how they interact with youth and with, babies and things of that nature. So it was really just thinking of, okay, one day, what would I want a man to say to my daughter to uplift her? So if you notice, I didn't say anything sexual. I said, no, the closest thing was, I think I said, you're fine as hell. That's the closest thing. That's the only thing I have to watch. And I still cringe because my daughter would be singing the song now at 3, and it's crazy. She knows the words. But I wanted her to look back and say, I inspired something from my father like that. And believe me, I still got the sexy, freaky records and all that, but I felt like this was a perfect time to say, here, let me give you this. And I feel like this can be, I'll give an example. I wrote Just in Case for Jaheim probably 5 years before it came out. Like I literally left the studio from recording Butter Love to go record Just in Case. Timeless music lasts forever. It's crazy to me, but music can live on as long as you don't date your music with certain lyrics and things like that. But there are certain things, as Lionel Richie said, that don't go out of style. I love you. I need you. I miss you. I'm sorry. So I want to make timeless music still, even while we're in this era of kind of popcorn type, music.
I want you to speak on the deaths of Andre Harrell, Little Richard, Betty Wright. We lost 3 legends in the music this weekend. Just your thoughts on how they all inspired you.
Well, it's funny because I'm one to take what I look at, and I know everybody's been watching the Jordan thing. I was listening, but I take perceived slights as fuel. And I remember back when they used to have the Budweiser Superfest in Chicago, and I'm from Minneapolis, and we would drive down. We drove down one year, and we had snuck backstage, and we just knew if we ran into Andre Harrell and sang for him, we get a deal, right? No, sir. Didn't happen that way. We met up with him, and he hit us with just send a demo to my office. Pew, right? So I was like, dang. What was funny is once KG discovered us and Clive Davis was working on our deal, we went to a Wizards game when Jordan played because we knew C Webb.
Oh, wow.
So we go to the game, and matter of fact, no, Jordan, it was the Bullets because Jordan still played for Chicago. So we go out there, and we were hanging with C Webb. We hadn't even made it yet, but we run into Andre Harrell, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got your demo." He didn't realize it was the same group. He's like, "Yeah, we gonna do a deal," and he didn't know we were already doing a deal with like the Mega Man, Clive Davis.
Yeah.
But those slights, or perceived slights, is the energy we needed to get better. So that's what I remember about him. The funny thing about Little Richard is my mother used to sing with Little Richard. Because see, my cousin is Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire. So my mother used to sing with Little Richard. So that hits home a little different. As far as Betty Wright, I mean, what can you say? Flawless. I mean, anthems, music that's about the same thing that I'm trying to be about what you are. So, I mean, it's a sad time, but truthfully, I look at like where my wife is from, which is New Orleans. They celebrate when you pass. And if you really believe, they going somewhere way better. They ain't stuck in the house on quarantine in heaven. They out kicking it. I mean, they're at a Biggie concert right now. So I guess I'm kind of envious. I don't want to be dead, but I'm like, man, paradise, I'm a believer.
Well, we appreciate you coming on Rolling Out AM. We look forward to this song. But once again, you did an excellent job, brother. Excellent job in bringing what's much needed during this pandemic. A lot of love, a lot of appreciation, and definitely being a role model for songwriters to give some timeless music to our community.
I want to thank y'all for letting me use your platform. I'm a fan of Rolling Out. You know what I'm saying? It means a lot. I want to thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
Much respect, bro. Much respect.
All right. Talk to y'all soon. Thank you.
Peace.
You got it. Yeah, it's great. Great music. Rolling Out AM. Positive thoughts of the day. Amir Shah, We Wear the Mask. I know you got it.
Sir, I have two actually, but we can go to We Wear the Mask, which is famous quote by Paul Laurence Dunbar, poet. And so I'm just gonna give you a few quotes before we wrap it up. It says, "We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes." So just in that little snippet, it just shows you how sometimes we come out of our house every day to put on some type of persona to kind of protect ourselves and also to make others comfortable. And as I was alluding to with Little Richard earlier, he wore that mask to be accepted initially by white audiences, and it pretty much made him more acceptable. And he pretty much used that tool as a way to get ahead.
Yep. How about you, Romeo? A positive thought of the day. We're at that 10 a.m.
A positive word of the day: push yourself. No matter what the circumstance, no matter what the task is, push yourself to succeed that task of the day.
Cast in the city.
My positive thought for the day is that we're going through times that are uncertain. A lot of people have anxiety and are overwhelmed or stressed, but just find something that you can pull from and clear your mind. Try to find something that you can be thankful for in the day, whether that's just being able to communicate with your family through technology, whether that's being able to eat something that you enjoy. Just find something that you can pull out of the day, just keep you uplifted as you move through the rest of this quarantine and this pandemic. Try to find something to keep you pushing.
Well, it is that time for Rolling Out AM to say goodbye. And we want to make sure that you stay motivated. So put good stuff in. No matter what you do, each and every day, put good stuff in. No matter where you go, what your mind says, don't listen to that. Continue to put good stuff in. And good stuff are things that are written by those greats, music that's there by the greats that allow you to understand that you are good and that you represent good. So put something good in. I'm Munson Steve, and this is Romeo International, A.R. Shaw, cast in the city, and of course, our favorite Terry Shropshire, and we are rolling out AM, the wake up call. Peace.